Hello and welcome to another Pauper video. Today we're not playing anything. We're going to be talking about the leagues. This is your Meta Report Tuesday. Every week on Tuesday, I'm going to be putting out a metagame report for the leagues. Right now, Magic Online has made it so anybody who 5-0s will see their deck list in the deck dump. It's not secret anymore. Everything is public. And because of that, we can get a little bit more information and we can be on the pulse of the metagame. So this is the first in that series, unless nobody likes it, but I think you're going to like it. So for our first series, what we're going to do is we're going to do Monday to Monday every week and see what we see. So for the first week, we have a very, very spicy deck that came from Floiza, which is Mono Red Tron, which this deck is using 3 each of Mine, Power Plant, and then 4 towers, along with a bunch of removal spells and just value things to outvalue the opponent and then eventually take over with self-assemblers, boarding parties, Oliphants, and Commodores. Really, really sick. There's a couple of videos that you could see out on YouTube. I just haven't put one together yet. Let me know if you want me to put together one. But as far as the metagame goes, you can see this is the league dump. And we saw at most 3 blue-black Fae, 3 Gardens, and 3 Kuldotha Burns. So that was our heavy hitters for that specific day. We also saw Jeskai Affinity as a 1-of, Elves as a 1-of, Ephemerate as a 2-of, our Mono Red Tron Spice as a singleton, Blue Terror. I posted a Familiars. We've got Turbo Fog in there, Heroic, one single Ponza player over here. Tyrex never gives up on Ponza. Still Ponza all over the place. And then a blue-black Terror. On the 9th, we've got 1 Elves, another Red Tron by Floiza again. 2 days in a row. That's wild. 2 Kagates by the same pilot, Bombage. Really impressive there. 2 trophies in 1 day. Then we've got 3 Kuldotha Burns with Burn, Burn, Burn. And one of them was Sticker Kuldotha by yours truly. So we've got the regular burn deck. So let me know if you like probably one thing, the visual view here. Let's just zoom in, make it a little bit less hard to see. But the regular Kuldotha burn deck is a all 1-drop deck, no card draw, just bolts, 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 1-drops slamming in. And what I did specifically was I have used 4 Bushwhacker Tomb Raider, Voldaren Epicure, and then I'm using Namesticker Goblin as a way of pushing not only extra damage with the 2/2, but getting extra mana, so you can be able to cast your 8 Reckless Impulse effects. So that was my hot tech. We also have in the list 1 Blue-Black Terror made a trophy. And they're both listed as Dimir Control here, but we have 1 Blue-Black Terror and 1 Dimir Control for realsies. So we've got Terror Angler with Murmuring Mystic. Nothing too out of the ordinary. And then here your blue-black control deck, which is the Murmuring Mystic, Thorn of the Black Rose, Tolarian Terror deck. In this deck, you're not really looking to slam a Tolarian Terror. You're looking to get it out early, you're looking to get it out late while managing the game with your cantrips and all of your removal spells, counter spells, etc. One of the interesting things here is that they're using 4 counterspell and 1 loose focus, which is a basically 5th copy of counterspell. So in this dump, we actually see Boros Affinity, which was something that sort of came out this week. And this is basically the blue-white affinity deck mixed with the Jeskai affinity deck, and then mixed right back to just being red-white. So this gives you a little bit better mana because you're playing almost all untapped lands. I guess there's still 4 tap lands here, but because you have more untapped lands, you're going to be a little bit faster out of the gate. And then it's using Experimental Synthesizer by itself as the card draw effect with 4 Thraben Inspectors as well. And Glinhawk on Synthesizer I find to be super strong, but this person was testing a bunch of things and they've got Goblin Tomb Raider, makeshift munitions. A lot of this doesn't make that much sense to me, but it's pretty sweet to see them have success. We also got to highlight Apis72, who consistently succeeds with Walls combo, with one thing that is relatively new, which is Scholar of Athreos. And this is a very old card, but he's using it as a way of beating Flaring Pain, I guess. So Apis, why don't you let us know in the comments why you're using this over your Valakut Invoker? Probably it also doesn't die to Hydroblast. We have another blue-black control. Yeah, we discussed that already. And then one single Grixis Affinity. You're not really seeing Grixis Affinity around very much. And let's see. They are on this Candy Trail. So this is something that Walker 735 put into the deck because Candy Trail is sort of like a preordain effect that also adds to Affinity and gains life. So you're using 4 foods and 4 more foods with Lembas to be a life gain deck. And then they just have a few big creatures with 3 Gear Seeker Serpents, 4 Mirror Enforcers, Cart Clan Shamans to clear the board, Breath Weapon to clear the board. They're definitely, if you want to be playing Control, Grixis Affinity is always a very good choice. They have a Crusher Zendikon in the list, which I have not seen before for some reason. But it makes a land into a 4/2 Red Beast Trampler, and then if the land goes to the graveyard, they get it back. Kind of interesting. That's definitely spice. And then we have a trophy over here with Altertron. I found Altertron to be relatively good, but you're definitely having problems versus something like Jeskai Glitters, where online making infinite life is not really very viable. And over here in my deck, you'll notice one single Stream of Thought, which is a way to deck out your opponent if they're on a Weather the Storm plan. And it actually did help in this match and in this league, which was awesome. All right, on the 10th, we've got 3 Clotha Burns, 2 blue-red control, 2 blue-black control, 2 Walls pilots with Apis72 and another Walls from Lindoso01, who is another Pauper grinder on Magic Online. And then the rest are all one-ofs with Blue Fae, Mono Blue Fairies. And I think they are playing, yes, Snare Master Sprite, which is one of the relatively new cards. And you can tap down a creature. We've got Black-White Blade. So this is your Black-White Hawk Skyfisher deck, which is using the Hawks and Skyfishers to pick up and replay Tithing Blade, making this a very good choice if you're looking to fight terror decks specifically. They also are playing this Indoctrination Attendant, which I find kind of strange, but apparently it works. It's another way of picking up and putting down some artifacts, but it costs 4 mana. It makes toxic creatures, so you can maybe deal some Infect, but I don't think that this is really where you want to be. And of course the deck is playing Goliath Paladin and Thorn of the Black Rose, but you're just a removal pile leaning on those emblems. We found one White Weenie from Discover N, who is a Legacy grinder, I think. Just Magic Online grinder overall. They're playing an Eagles of the North, which is a sweet way to get not only another pump effect, but also a land. And they've got that Singleton Mana Tithe to really freak out your opponent when they get Mana Tithe. I love that. Let's see, nothing else crazy. 2 Idyllic Range. All right, and then that is the rest of the league for that day. Oh, Murilo BDS with the double trophy on blue-red control. If you haven't seen this deck, this is the basically Commodore Mystic Tolarian Terror deck, looking to leverage the Monarch and then take over the game. Tolarian Terror, once it's a 1-mana creature, is really easy to play while still counterspelling and remove-spelling your opponent out of the game. On the 11th of January, we actually had 3 people trophy with Jeskai Affinity. And this is the deck that Walker 735 basically built as a modification of the Paupergeddon first place list, which he's using 4 Reckless Impulse effects with 2 Reckless Impulse, 2 Rens Resolve to really keep your opponent guessing. He also has 2 End the Festivities in the sideboard. This person was using Ornithopter as their quick creature of choice, no Thraben Inspector, and they're leaning on Glinthawk plus the Synthesizer to get a bunch of card advantage. The next player playing Jeskai Affinity essentially the same deck, except they're playing no extra stuff. And then I also was able to trophy with the same deck in that day, but using Ardent Recruit over Ornithopter. And Ornithopter is a really good fast play that adds to your affinity and can be an evasive creature. But one of the recommendations from Walker 735 was to use Ardent Recruit because it is a 3/3 very quickly. And it's much easier to beat in. It also beats most of the 2 mana sweep, or 2 damage and 2 -2/-2 sweepers that are in the format. So it's kind of a cool choice. I didn't talk about, but we also have 2 Gardens players here getting trophies. Good for them. One of the things you can do with Gardens is to go deep into a like an end game strategy with Campfire, but both of these players chose to play Avenging Hunter. This one's on 4, this one's on 3. There's some minor changes between the lists, but not too much different. On the 12th here, we start to see some changes in the affinity lists. We have a Boros affinity and an Azorius affinity. So we've got back to the blue-white affinity here with gut shots. And this is the faster, high speedy version, but no removal. And then down here we have Boros affinity, which is basically the Jeskai affinity that Walker 735 came up with. Or is it? Okay, I just had to check to make sure it really was Walker 735 and not Walker 375. Anyway, he's an Italian player, and this is his list minus blue, and then adding back a couple of extra cards. So it's really Thraben Inspector over Thoughtcast in this position. One really interesting thing is this person is playing Active Volcano instead of Red Blast, which says destroy target blue permanent or return target island to its owner's hand. You cannot counter a blue spell. It's just destroying and returning. Very strange. We have Cast into the Fire and then Cleansing Wildfire here. They have exactly 2 basics of their own. So Cleansing Wildfire is a disruptive element, maybe for Tron. I really don't know what they were thinking. If you are new Barola, please tell me why you're playing Cleansing Wildfire. It's kind of sweet, kind of different. And all of the decks here were one-ofs. So nothing was overrepresented really. We still have Elves by Bokuinha. They are a diehard Elves player. We've got a White Weenie. Oh no, this is a White Weenie. So let's go into the 13th. On the 13th, wow, Bokuinha with another 5-0 with Elves. This guy is just crushing it. We have 2 people trophying with Jeskai Affinity again, with Jeskai Affinity here and here. Let's see if there's any differences. So this player is playing Thraben Inspector instead of playing Reckless Impulse. And this person is on the Reckless Impulse over Thraben Inspector, playing Ardent Recruit and no Ornithopters. Other than that, we have a Jeskai Ephemerate, an Elves, a Gardens, Kuldotha Burn still, Blue-Black Terror, that Boros Affinity by Zamu. This is kind of interesting. So this doesn't really count as Boros Affinity, I think. I'm going to have to change it. But this is really, yeah, it's hard to say, right? They're playing the Affinity Payoff with All That Glitters, but they're not playing Frogmite, not playing Mirror Enforcer. It's really more of a aggro mid-range deck with the Glint Hawk and the Core Skyfisher. Being able to pick up Experimental Synthesizer, Lembas, and Wedding Invitation. And Wedding Invitation can give whichever creature you throw All That Glitters on unblockable. So they're leaning on lots of 1-drops and then value 2-drops here with makeshift munitions to clear to finish the game. So I feel like this is a very interesting deck, something that I'm interested in potentially highlighting. If you'd like to see that, let me know in the comments. Okay, on the 14th, we've got 2 Jeskai Affinities. We've got Elves, Cawgate, 3 Kuldotha Burns, 1 more Boros Affinity, a Walls, not Apis that time. That's unfortunate, sir. Blue-red Control, and then I'm labeling this as Black-white Affinity. If we expand this, it's essentially the same thing as the Tithing Blade deck, except it's playing free cards with more Mirror Enforcer, Ornithopter, and then it's still got 4 Glinthawk, 4 Skyfisher, and Thraben Inspector with Deadly Dispute. But it's also playing Springleaf Drum, Ichor Wellspring, 4 Blood Fountain, and 4 Tithing Blade with the All That Glitters. So I'm not sure if this is refined or not, because if you look at this deck, it's 4, 4, 4, 4. Everything is 4. They said, these are the good cards. I'm going to play all of those. Blood Fountain is cool because it can give you a lot of affinity too. So maybe there actually is a really good value deck here that you can just overwhelm people with. I'd be interested to see what other people have found with this specific deck. It's kind of sweet. This last day on the 15th was huge. 21 decks trophied, and I've got a lot of notes here. So the first note is, look at this. Trophy, 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 trophy. Spock Vita Loca had 3 trophies in one day with blue-red control, as well as Vikazin with the exact same list. Oh, not the exact same, but a very similar list. He got a trophy as well. So 4 trophies for blue-red control, showing how strong it is, I think, versus burn and affinity. We also have 4 trophies with Coggates from a couple of different players. And this has not been fully categorized yet, so a little bit of it was kind of odd. But we also have another player 5-0ing with the Tron deck yet again. This deck just will not quit. It's crazy. We have 2 Familiars trophies from myself on Familiars and also from EHGM. So I want to highlight this deck specifically. Okay, so EHGM, let me know if you like this visual view or the list view. But what he decided to do is play Augur of Bolas with Meeting of Minds and Brainstorm. Augur of Bolas comes down super fast, so he is trying to really minimize the CMC here. And he's playing, I thought he was playing 2 Murmuring Mystics, but I only see 1 here. So, and the crazy thing is he's playing 2 Muldrifters, Step Through, Remove Soul, and stuff like that. It's just like kind of wild and out there. It's really interesting. And EHDM, let me know what you were thinking about this. It's a very, very different build than I'm used to. My specific build was just my normal deck. Ponder, Preordain, Modern Age, average stuff. So nothing different for me. We have 2 Kuldotha Burn players. And then what's cool here is we have 2 affinities that I'm calling blue-white affinity. One from Ruben's Nito, and I think the other one's from Myers. Let's check it out. Not that one. Okay, so this is the first blue-white affinity I'm looking at. This is exactly blue-white affinity, but you look at their lands. They've got 3 Great Furnaces here. They're not playing any of the indestructible untapped land, and they're splashing specifically for Krark-Clan Shaman. I'm not sure what affinity wants to splash Krark-Clan Shaman for, but it's pretty interesting. So this is blue-white affinity plus red in the sideboard. The other deck that we're seeing down here is blue-white affinity plus red in the main deck for Galvanic Blast, changing to play 2 Silver Bluff Bridges and 2 Great Furnace. They also trimmed on Springleaf Drum, going to 3 and 3 on the Gingerbrutes, which is kind of wonky, but I got destroyed by this deck. He's also playing 2 Blacksmith Skills in the sideboard. The thing is, this deck presenting removal spells and random counter spells was just really overpowering. And with Moon Circuit Hacker and Of One Mind and Thoughtcast, you're drawing cards really fast for very cheap. So I'd really think this is a powerful deck as well. Something to definitely check out. And the last thing to really highlight here in this dump is the Dredge deck. There we go, by Drachma. This person trophied with Dredge. You've got Dread Return on Lotleth Giant. 32 creatures in the deck that will dome your opponent. And when you're dredging a bunch using your Stinkweed Imp, you can put Acorn Harvest into the graveyard and flash it back in order to put 2 1/1 squirrels into play and use those squirrels to use the flashback cost of Dread Return. Very neat. And we saw this get a top 8 a few weekends ago in the challenge, so pretty cool to see. Of note, everything here in the sideboard has flashback, so if you dredge it, you can get it back. All right, that is the entirety of all of the league dumps. So now what I want to do is show you what the metagame looked like over the week. So this is the week overall. We are seeing 13.5% of Kuldotha Burn. Second most played deck is Cawgate at 11.7%. Then we have Jeskai Affinity at 8%, Gardens, Elves, Boros Affinity. Kind of goes down from there. There's a lot of one-ofs. But if you change this and you combine everything based on the, I'm saying the type of deck it is, we are seeing a completely different picture. Glitter Affinity here with 17.3% of the entire metagame. That's people that are playing all that glitters in their affinity deck trying to get you dead. That's almost 20% of the trophies. So I would say that all that glitters affinity is probably the deck to beat right now. It's also the deck that I would say probably deserves to be banned the most, but that's a different story. You can let me know what you feel like about that in the comments as well. After the glitter affinity decks, we have terror decks. This is including both mono blue and blue black terror, as well as blue red control playing terror and blue black control playing terror. These decks are leaning on a hexproof 1 mana creature, not really hexproof, but it's basically hexproof, that it just really takes over the game. And in the fast versions of the deck, it can be essentially hexproof. In the slow versions of the deck, a 1 mana 5/5 is just absurd as far as a closer. The third most played deck is Coldotha Burn at 13.6%. And that puts 3 macro archetypes at almost 50% of the metagame. I'm not really sure how that stands against what a metagame should look like. So we can maybe have a discussion about that. And then Cogate is the next most played deck, followed by Gardens, Elves, Fae, and then Walls is great because almost all of these trophies are 8/72, and I just love that, dude. That's awesome. Ever going down here, we see 4 trophies with Redtron, a new outstanding thing to see, and that's pretty much the metagame as it stands. So that closes the discussion for today. I am interested in hearing if you thought this was useful, or maybe I missed highlighting something. Let me know what you thought in the comments below. Hopefully you enjoyed. This isn't going to take the place of the different actual gameplay videos that I'm doing. It's just kind of an additional thing. Keep your finger on the pulse, and hopefully you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.